All right, welcome. It is Monday, November 20th, 2023. Slay Security Plus. Here's the first run. Just let me know that you can hear me. Made a few adjustments to my setup, so just want to make sure everything is coming through loud and clear. And the music's not too loud. Awesome. Thank you, Capone. We'll wait just a couple more moments here before we get started. See, we've got 7 sitting here on Twitch right now. How's everybody's day going so far? Yeah, visits to urgent care are never fun. Never a good time. Hacker Cat, how you doing? We got like Daddy's little god in here. All right, let's get rolling here. We'll pop into the questions right off the bat here, and then we will chat towards the end. Any questions y'all have for me, feel free to throw them in chat. The Margarita works for an online retailer, recently suffered a security breach affecting stored credit card data. Margarita is concerned that the company is subject to sanctions for violating provisions within the payment card industry data security standard, PCI DSS. What category of risk is Margarita concerned about? Dropkicked, welcome. And be sure to join in over here, the vbox.app, punch in that ID or scan the QR code. Join in, answer along with us. It doesn't tell me how many you missed or anything like that. But we all get to kind of judge how well we're doing with the topics at hand. Give it another second here. Got 4 people logged in. 3 answers so far. All right, go ahead and close this poll. Close this question out. Compliance, y'all got it. Nailed it. Yeah, we are definitely focused on compliance when it comes to PCI DSS and most other regulations. PCI DSS is one of the few that is not held by any sort of federal security standard. So you have an obligation to the payment card industry and their standards, which they can hold you liable in a civil court, but there aren't any legal, you can't get arrested for not following it, but you can face financial penalties and other restrictions on your business for failing to secure your information properly. So overall risk is what we're concerned about not so much just the financial, but the compliance overall with their standards. Good evening, Cyber Odyssey. When using social engineering, hackers may leverage which of the following tools to create false trust with a target? We've got impersonation, urgency, scarcity, authority, or all of the above? Cool. All answers are in. Which of the following tools create false trust with a target? So this is a good test question for those of you prepping for Security Plus, because when you look at it, that when conducting social engineering, you're going to use things like impersonation, which could also fall under authority, being impersonating somebody in a position of authority, pushing urgency, where you want to have as much pressing reason for somebody to click a link, scarcity, promising there's only 5 iPhones left at this price, so we want to make sure that we can get these people to click the links and fall for the phishing attempts, or whatever, the vishing, any other sort of social engineering activity. So all of these are the answers. So E down here at the bottom, all of the above would be the correct answer here. But when you're prepping for Security Plus, you see a question like this, like, maybe urgency, maybe scarcity, impersonation, those could definitely be it. And there's an answer for all of the above. You got 2 or more that you're sure of, go for all of the above at that point. DJ, Frang, welcome to the party. One of my questions here, one of my specialties. Burger Masters Incorporated has finished developing its organizational security policies. What is the single most effective method to counter social engineering attacks being conducted by the Hamburglar? Do they implement physical access controls separating business units within the organization? Do they conduct frequent testing of the organization's security procedures and employee telephone behaviors? Should they implement a man trap to prevent unverified individuals from entering the organization? Or should they perform regular security awareness training? And those of y'all just joining in, be sure to hop on the vvox.app here, punch in the code or scan the QR, join in and answer the questions with us. Full participation here. All right, y'all nailed this one. Yep. Security awareness training. That is probably the biggest bang for your buck when trying to secure an organization. Making sure that your employees are aware of what social engineering attacks would look like, whether it's vishing, whether it's phishing, whether it's tailgating, just making your employees aware of how they could be targeted or how they could become complicit in social engineering attacks. People are the weakest point in any organization, no matter how many millions of dollars you spend on security controls. Weakest point's always going to be the person. Got another one here featuring a member of our community. As Blitz enters the office earlier than normal, he notices a new janitor in the hallway moving slowly, opening doors, peeking inside of offices. Blitz approaches the man, who smells like hamburgers, and asks him where the usual janitorial staff is. The man, speaking in broken English, mutters, "Food poisoning," and pats his stomach. What is occurring in the office this morning? Is it phishing? Is it identity fraud? Impersonation? Or prepending? All answers are in. So impersonation is the correct answer here. He is undercover being a janitor, so he would be impersonating the janitorial crew. Something like this wouldn't necessarily be something that Blitz would want to handle on his own. He'd probably want to alert a manager, get somebody higher up in the ranks involved in figuring out why this person is here. What are they doing? Should they actually be here? Were they actually part of the crew, or did they take somebody out and lock him in the trunk of their car in the parking lot, steal his uniform, and come in to steal data, to plug in something into one of the computers, try and get a foothold on the network? It could kind of be seen as identity fraud because he is taking somebody's identity, but it is more impersonation, by impersonating a employee of the company, as opposed to stealing somebody's social security number, stealing their phone number, and trying to impersonate them in that manner and potentially cause financial harm to that particular person. It definitely is not phishing. We don't have anything going on with emails here. It's not prepending. Prepending is typically where you set the grounds for a situation, giving somebody, feeding them details to get them to buy into your story, in order to get access to data, or getting them to hand over data. So John is updating his organization's threat assessment process. What category of control is John implementing? He's updating his organization's threat assessment process. Which of these categories? Is it operational, is it technical, is it managerial, or corrective? And this is where we've got a lot of different controls, kind of in different categories here. And corrective controls, they could be technical, they could be operational controls, they could be managerial controls. So when looking at a question like this, you kind of want to look a little deeper into it and see what exactly are they asking about? What's the best of the four answers? Give it another second here for number 4. Everybody ready for Thanksgiving? Got big plans going on? Aside from eating a unhealthy amount of food. Yep, family is the most important part of it. Actually got my brother in town from Colorado visiting this week. So we'll be heading over to my mom's house on Thursday. .50 split here. So managerial controls are the procedural mechanisms that focus on the mechanics of risk management process. So threat assessment is part of that managerial control. Operational controls, I would be looking at those being a little bit more. Your managerial controls are going to be the bigger picture items. Those are going to be your threat assessments, your policies, whereas you get into operational are going to be your actual procedures for conducting any sort of scans of the network, things like that, are going to be your operational, where you're actually taking action in the environment. Technical are going to be your things that are software. They're going to be your hardware appliances, and the rules set around those. Mal, welcome to the party. Glad you could make it. I don't see Joseph in chat, but he's got a question tonight. Joseph is implementing a data loss prevention system. He would like to ensure that it protects against transmissions of sensitive information by guests on his wireless network. What DLP technology would best meet this goal? Is it watermarking? Is it network-based DLP technology? Is it host-based DLP technology? Or is it pattern recognition DLP technology? All right, we got 5 of y'all in here now. 5 playing the game. Let's wait on the last one here, and then we'll find out what the answer is. Here we go. So network-based technology would be the best in this situation. Since he is looking at sensitive information by guests on his wireless network, he wouldn't be able to install anything host-based. He wouldn't be able to put software on their computer. So we are correct in that, where a host-based solution would not solve the goals of this. Watermarking wouldn't necessarily give us any benefit, because you're looking at putting watermarks on documents to kind of track where it came from, or who was the original, who produced this first, or who was it intended for. Pattern recognition, it could definitely be used in a situation like this, but another one of those questions where typically a network-based DLP technology will implement pattern recognition in order to secure the sensitive information being transmitted across the network, or prevent it from getting outside of the network. Yeah, he may use watermarking or pattern recognition to identify the sensitive information, but he must use a network-based DLP to meet his goal. Rick believes that a system he is responsible for has been compromised with malware that uses a rootkit to obtain and retain access to the system. When he runs a virus scan, the system doesn't show any malware. He has other data that indicates the system is infected. What should his next step be if he wants to determine what malware may be on the system? Should he rerun the anti-malware scan? Should he mount the drive on another system and scan it that way? Should he install a new antivirus scanner? Or the system's not infected and he should just move on? Quit wasting time. Get on with his day. There's a specs a rootkit. Rootkit on that system. How is he going to figure out who put the rootkit there, or what rootkit is installed, if he truly thinks that that is the situation? All answers are in. Nope. Somebody was changing an answer when I finished it off. So Y'all are correct. Mounting the drive on another system and scanning it that way would be the best way to do this. A rootkit will typically be scanner evasive. So on the system that it's installed in, it will hide from any scanners on that system. So you could put 1, you could put 5 on there. Likely you won't find anything. So installing a new antivirus scanner or malware scanner won't do anything. Rerunning the anti-malware scan, of course, won't find anything if the first one didn't show up with anything, especially if it doesn't have any way of changing the parameters to detect that rootkit, which the rootkit's evasive. It's not gonna show anyhow. And system not being infected, he's got enough data indicating that it is infected, so it would not be a wise move to move on from his investigation on this system. So mounting it on another system and scanning it that way, using a sandbox environment, using a known trusted environment is going to be the best way to determine whether he actually has malware on this system and what malware it is. He can boot from a USB drive and attach the drive to a sandbox environment. Just a known good operating system to be able to limit that rootkit from being able to evade the malware scans. Al, here you go. You're evaluating a computer image taken as part of an incident investigation. Al has found that the attacker had installed software allowing remote access to the system. How should Mal classify this malware? See what I did there? Mal and his malware hunting. Is it a worm? Is it polymorphic malware? Is it a Trojan? Or is it a backdoor installed on the system? And again, we're looking for the best answer here. Very punny. That is correct. I thought I was being super clever when I made this question earlier. All right, final answers are in. A backdoor would be the best answer here. As far as the question being asked, it doesn't say anything about the malware spreading from one system to another on its own. Doesn't say anything about it being able to evade detection by a scanner by changing its footprint. So it wouldn't be polymorphic in that sense. A worm would be something that acts on its own, is able to move from system to system without any user input, kind of does its thing once it's launched into the network. A Trojan, I mean, again, we don't have it saying that, you know, they clicked on a document that after they clicked it, the computer started acting funny. Y'all are absolutely correct there. It is definitely not a Trojan, but a backdoor would allow the attacker remote access to that system. Blitz, welcome to the party. You missed your question earlier. Jesse has mounted a sign on the fence surrounding his organization's data center. The sign reads, "Beware of dog." What type of control best describes the use of the sign? Is it a compensating control? Is it a deterrent? Is it detective? Or is it a physical control? Got all answers in. The Jesse's use of this sign, y'all are absolutely correct. It is a deterrent control. You're deterring malicious actors from taking action against the data center. Physical controls would be like your gates, locks, fence, man traps, barbed wire on top of the fence. Detective controls would be your motion sensors and alarms, other ways of identifying unauthorized access. And the sign could be used as a compensating control if there's weak controls elsewhere, and it's being used to fill in a gap. But you know, the best answer here is it is a deterrent control. At the root of it, you're just trying to deter people from coming around the data center, trying to get across that fence for fear of the big dog that may or may not actually be there. Kind of like the people that put the alarm signs out front of their house, you know, protected by Brinks, even though they don't have a security system, just to keep people from bothering with them. You know, there's probably an easier target down the street. Keep moving down the road. Here's a long one. We got many users at Burger World corporate headquarters complaining about slow responses from the database servers. You are investigating the servers and find the CPU utilization is very high, and a process, Burger Coin Mine, is causing high CPU utilization on all of the database servers. You also see in the network logs, each of the servers is communicating on UDP port 41337 to an IP overseas. When one of the servers is disconnected from the network, the CPU utilization drops significantly. Based on these observations, what type of malware is running on these servers? Is it a rat? A remote access Trojan? We have a worm. Is it a fileless virus? Or is it crypto malware? Yes, Burger Coin to the moon. I'm going to make this thing stick. We're going to have Burger Coins at some point. That way I can hand out all the burgers. You don't have just regular emojis in the Twitch chat. I'm looking. Throw up some hamburgers in there. All right, all answers are in. 6 players now. The crypto malware is the correct answer here. So because it is, we are obviously dealing with something crypto related with the Burger Coin, high CPU utilization when you're mining for Bitcoin or Burger Coin in this case, you're gonna see a high load on those servers. You see a lot of cloud resources and stuff like that tend to get hit with malware similar to this, where they utilize the resources somebody else is paying for, hijack their systems, and mine as much coin as you can before you get caught. So while it could have started out as a remote access Trojan, what we're seeing right now is crypto malware. It could be that, you know, we see this, we probably need to dig in a little deeper on the system and see what other type of malware is sitting in there. But given that, you know, high CPU utilization, network logs, communication overseas, all points to a botnet mining the new Burger Coin cryptocurrency. Taking Burger Coin to the moon. One of y'all crushed it tonight. 10 out of 10, correct. And I assume the 1 out of 10 is probably just because you only had a chance to answer one question. But great job, guys. And we ran through those questions tonight. Guess with the remaining 30 minutes of time here, what would y'all like to talk about? What are you studying right now that need help with, or just want to talk a little bit more about? And Net Plus is a fun one. A lot of port numbers to remember. But once you learn all of them, you'll use them again and again through Sec Plus. You use them through CYSA. Absolutely use them in pen test as well. But it's definitely interesting as you start moving up in these certifications. They get more and more focused on the theory and the management side of it, so you start losing some of that technical touch that like Net Plus and Sec Plus have. Start getting in a lot of policies and procedures and things like that. So it ends up being really good material to put you to sleep when you're reading through, especially stuff like the CISP. Yeah, you should absolutely know. You should at least know Net Plus before taking Sec Plus. It is the fundamentals for everything in Security Plus is in Net Plus. So you got to have at least that baseline understanding, that knowledge that is conveyed through Net Plus before jumping into Sec Plus and sitting for that exam. Take a practice test. Do one first and see where your knowledge lacks, and you got nothing to lose taking a practice test. Do one before, kind of know where you stand going into it, and that way when you get to that other side of it, and okay, here's everything that I think I know, here's the stuff that I don't know, I know what to study, and then come back and hit the practice exams again once you're done studying, or you've studied for a week or two, just to kind of judge how you've progressed and what you've learned over that time. I do think for the ports though, flashcards. I did 2 sets of flashcards. I did a match set where you just set them all out on the counter and have them flipped over, and flip one. Okay, I've got HTTP here, and then flip another one over and it's RDP, whatever the port number, right? It's like 3389. Okay, those don't match. Flip them back together, and then just use that to help study for that. But also just drilling flashcards. Just one side's HTTP, the other side's 80, 443 HTTPS, and just you will beat your head into the ground with port numbers, but definitely knowing that is key. I've even seen some of it on CCSP. I think I had a couple questions that had port numbers involved on it, and just being able to know, like, okay, what exactly are they talking about? Is it, are they talking about voice over IP, stuff like that? You start getting into these higher range port numbers that you don't use so much in Net Plus, but when you get out of Sec Plus and you get into CYSA, pen test, even SSCP, it carries some of that additional knowledge. You have to at least know kind of roughly what it is, or kind of know that, hey, I recognize that port number, but I know what it's not, so I can make a judgment call on this question to see that I get the right answer on it. Yeah, the hands-on skills in Linux and Python are definitely necessary moving into the cloud, because you start getting into things like your automated deployments, your infrastructure as code, being able to look at the structure of JSON files and stuff like that and what it's trying to build out, being able to read that and know roughly what it's going to do, but also, if you put something together and it doesn't quite work, knowing how to troubleshoot your code, I think, is probably one of the most valuable things, because you can pull code all day long from GitHub, but if you don't know what it's actually doing, having that at least a base understanding of what the functions do and how they're interacting with each other, and just being able to read code and know what's going on, it helps a lot as you start moving into the more technical, or the more advanced, not necessarily more technical certifications. Pen Test Plus, it was very programming heavy. That one, it had one of my PBQs was, here's 5 blanks kind of sorted through the and out of, like, there were 8 lines of code, there were 3 that they selected for you, and then you had to determine whether it was Ruby, whether it was Python, or it was Bash, and then you had to assemble the code in the correct order and hopefully choose the right language, because there were enough options there where you could build out all 3 into what could be functioning properly, if it was all the right code. But they all looked very similar, and it was pretty sure the question was Python, but I could have had Ruby, and I probably missed half of it, but I'll never know. But it was definitely caught me off guard a little bit, digging into something like that. John, what resources are you asking about? Are you asking for for learning Python, or looking for kind of practice on learning programming, that kind of stuff? Or are you looking for stuff on like pen test and CYSA? So one of my favorite, pull up all my resources here. Document here. I really need to organize all my stuff a little better. Got stuff kind of all over the place. That's awesome. I've got a 7-zip file of all the files I need, but I don't remember the password for it, so that does not help me whatsoever. Let me see here. I got one on my. This is one of the books that I like a lot for learning, especially programming. It is incredibly easy to go through, and they break down. So this one's PowerShell, but I've also got a couple other ones, but it walks you through the history of PowerShell, kind of where everything is kind of stemmed from, and how it's been built up, how it works all the way through. But they break it down into essentially a project where, as you get further into the chapters, they have you actually start writing code, breaking things down into here's how the syntax is, and you do essentially a chapter a day, and they're all about an hour roughly in order to dig through it. But this book, the pretty much it's learn blank in a month of lunches. There are a bunch of these. Yeah, so Manning is the company. They've got, you start digging through their stuff, they've got all sorts. Dang, I'm way behind. They're already on their 4th edition. Kubernetes. You're looking to do building out containerization and stuff like that. Database tools. Learn Azure, learn Git. I mean, you name it, they've got books on this stuff. Learn Active Directory. Can't imagine that one's going to be super up to date though, given that it was produced in 2014. Some of these are newer than others. Learn Docker. They've got some good publications for digging into learning. So for the PowerShell one, the author is Don Jones and Jeffrey D. Hicks. At least for the, yeah, so he's still an author on the newer edition, but I'll drop this chat. Yeah, I've used the PowerShell scripting, and I've also dug into the Kubernetes one a little bit to get a better understanding of cloud containerization and how Kubernetes operates. And remember other one that I was using. I always keep an eye out on Humble Bundle, because for a lot of the times, like $25, you get a stupid amount of information that they tell you for a little bit, and some of the profits go to charity. So picked up a programming course from them. Remember where? I can get into this here real quick. Gotta do the 2-factor thing here. This is the one that I picked up from Humble Bundle for $25. The $500 class or course from them, but it's Python and Flask, and they do a little bit of database management in there as well, which as a pen tester or even just as a security professional, knowing enough to be dangerous about databases, probably as far as you need to go, unless you really want to get into database administration, which that's your jam, more power to you, but definitely not my cup of tea. But knowing enough to be able to to test for SQL injection to be able to essentially filter out those queries that you don't want to occur in a database, or be able to dump them if they have the wrong formatting in there, or they're going to perform a query that should not be exposed publicly. Being able to understand how that functions and how the tables work within a database, how they work between the tables within the database, how everything communicates and references, is definitely important. Yeah, they've got a bunch of stuff in this course, but the company's Mammoth Interactive. I played with it for a little while while I was taking my Python course for WGU. It definitely helped, but I also used these guys. This is probably the best one of the group of what I found. These guys, Jose Portilla, and his Python bootcamp from Zero to Hero is absolutely awesome. And I used his SQL database one as well. And both of them, they have you set everything up on your system. They give you the files that you need to get started with it. And you load everything in and you follow them step by step, and they explain what it is you're doing, how to do it. And then at the end of every lesson, they do a challenge where you get to pause the video and they ask you a question to do something, how to build a query to get the data that you want, or to compile a program really quickly to print what they're looking for, to answer the question. And it just reinforces that knowledge so much, being hands-on, but also reading about it and learning it, what each component is and how it works with the others. I found his courses to be absolutely exceptional when it came to learning Python and learning SQL. Yeah, so he gives you the Jupyter notebooks so you can download the whole file and everything to work through it. Yeah, I started the 100 Days of Code by Angela Yu, and that one wasn't moving quite as quickly as I wanted to through Python. Her course is extremely good. I really enjoyed the way that she approached it, but I was accelerating through WGU, so I wanted to get the knowledge in and absorbed as quickly as possible. So I figured when I looked at it, and it's a 22-hour course as opposed to, I think hers is almost 100. Just didn't fit with the schedule that I was looking to. 58 hours, yeah. So hers is almost 3 times as long as the Jose Portillo one. But yeah, I wanted to learn as much as I could as quickly as possible. But yeah, they go through and they do milestone projects, and just to kind of reinforce the learning that you've done in the sections before. These are what I'm talking about, the coding exercises. So like they want you to go in and print hello world. So you get to go in and, print parentheses, quote, hello world, quote, close parentheses, and run it through. And these are fun for me because when you get to do them, it's like they're telling you about it in the video, and before you know it, they're already giving you the answer because it's all, you're supposed to pause it. So sometimes I go in and I just look at the title and I'm like, okay, I want to go ahead and do this before I even see what their prompt is, or before they give you any tips before they give you the final answer, and see how far I can get with it, or see how close I can get to answering the question. Just playing silly games with myself to try and get get the knowledge down and prove to myself that I understand these concepts. Yeah, I've definitely been spoiled this term, having access to pretty much all of Udemy through school, because I can just sign up for any course that I want and not have to pay for it. Well, I guess I paid for it in my tuition, but being able to just kind of jump in, see if I like something, and then pop back out of it if it didn't fit what I was hoping to get out of it. Yeah, I still want to finish her course though. Pretty sure I bought this one a while back on my other Udemy account. Yeah, I really like the idea of building out a bunch of different projects and everything else while learning Python. Thank you, Daddy's Little God. Thanks for coming out. Have a wonderful evening and have a happy Thanksgiving. Definitely check us out on Wednesday. I think Jesse and I are doing another dual stream Wednesday, celebrating the 500th episode of Simply Cyber. So we'll actually be giving away a Security Plus voucher. Thank you. I've got to go buy my voucher for the CISP sometime in the next week or so. Keep checking the date on it and making sure that the day that I want to take it's available. I just haven't wanted to shell out the $750 for the voucher quite yet. Got an email from ISC Squared. They're like 50% off CISP, SSCP, and then you read into it, it's 50% off the retake insurance that they sell you. Like, oh, fooled me on this. I was hoping to pay $375 for it instead, but no, it's $850 instead of $950 if you want to do get the second take. I was joking with my wife about it, about going ahead and just paying the $850, so I had two chances at it. She's like, well, you're 100% so far. I'm like, gotta fail at some point. So I was laughing about it, and yeah, the peace of mind, I think is what they called it. But I'm confident enough that, by December 19th, I'll be ready for it, and I'll be ready to crush that exam. Go and mentally flog myself for 4 hours in front of the computer. Drain me mentally. I've never taken exams like that, until I took the ISC Squared exams for the SSCP and the CCSP. I've never had an exam make me feel that exhausted 2.5 hours into it. Yeah, I figure I buy it, I pretty much tell myself I have one shot at it. Otherwise, I gotta find a way to, sell a kidney or something else to pay for the second take of it. But my wife is funny about that stuff. Spending the extra $100 for a second chance when I probably won't need it, but just in case if I did need it, it would be way cheaper. But and she'll just hold me to it that I'm gonna have to go sell some stuff to pay for the second take when I want to do it. Yeah, the SSCP is 4 hours. I think I did mine in about 2.5, but it's more the sheer quantity of questions that is abusive. Because when you take a CompTIA exam, you're 3 to 5 PBQs, and then you have 60 to 70, maybe 80 multiple guess questions. The SSCP in any ISC squared exam, you cannot review your answers once you've put them in. So when you question number 1, you answer it and you hit next, you cannot go back and look at question number 1 again. So you're going through 150 questions one at a time, and you better be sure of that answer before you click next. And I know on a couple of them that I absolutely selected the wrong answer, and I had already clicked next, and I was like, crap, I can't go back. I can't fix that. I hope it doesn't come out to bite me. So I obviously did well enough on the rest of it, but yeah, the CC is the same way. It's one and done on your questions. Yeah, the computer adaptive testing is scary. You get the whole, you answered a question correctly, we're going to give you a harder question, and then you get that one correct, we're going to give you an even harder one, and then you miss one, they give you an easier question. So you have that in the back of your mind that, is this one actually easier than the other one, or did I just know this? Did I miss a question? What's going on here? It's kind of scary to have that in the back of my mind when going into an exam, and just not, almost having to put that out of your mind and not think about it, but it's there. And I did see that they're trialing the computer assisted testing right now for the CC, and I have a feeling that it's just going to get pushed into the SSCP and CCSP soon. So we'll see how that goes. But it's interesting too, the way that they have it, that 150 questions is your max, but if you do a bunch of hard questions and get them right, they're looking at a total weight of questions that add up to a certain score in order to pass you. So it's definitely interesting to, when you look at it that way, that if you actually know the material, you're going to do fine. You just got to think about, what is ISC squared asking? What's the perspective that they're coming from? Especially in the managerial exams, when you get to CCSP and CISP, you've got to think about it from their perspective. What are they trying to gauge for your understanding of this, and go from there. So it's definitely scary. It's less than a month out for me. I've got some cramming to do over the next 4 weeks, and make sure I'm ready for it. Oh, I got no doubt. I'm going to crush that exam. There's no doubt about it. I just go in overly confident, and then when I sit down and I get the first question, then I'm second guessing myself. But it's all adrenaline at that point. It's just hopefully getting through the test before the adrenaline wears off. The CCSP was like question 125, and I'm sitting there, I'm shaking, like I couldn't get through the last 25 questions fast enough, just because I was mentally exhausted. Just did not want to be there anymore. I was so worn out from that test. But I got it, and now I just have to work for another 3.5 years to be able to say that I am a CCSP. I get to wear the associate badge until I actually get that one in hand. I did get my SSCP, my nice package from Old Deal. Yeah, I had it sitting around here somewhere, but I probably put it on the shelf with the rest of my certifications, just collecting dust. They gave me a sweet little pin, gave me the whole certificate and everything. All came in a nice box, and it was definitely different from the folder that you get from CompTIA when you get it in the mail. I'm still waiting on my pen test one. Should hopefully be here this week or next. We'll see what shows up first, whether it's my degree or my pen test plus certification. But we are at 8 o'clock. Got a few more minutes if y'all want to continue chatting. Got anything else you want to talk about? Yeah, I appreciate that drop. Oh, look who's showing up at 8 o'clock. Margarita. Hacker Cat, what do you got, what classes you got rolling up? Dang, everybody rolling in at 8 o'clock here. Job fair. You get some good leads out of that? Austin Chaos, good to see you this evening. Mal, as far as getting into pen testing, that there's not really any one road to get into it. It's a very small pool of jobs out there as far as actual like red team jobs as compared to blue team. I mean, you're gonna have some overlap. If you're in a blue team role, you want to have some pen testing skills. And you have that opportunity when you land that role as a SOC analyst to be able to learn some of the red team side of things and interact. If you're at a company big enough where they have their own red team, to be able to interact with them and learn and shadow with them. And I think that's probably going to be one of the best ways to at least get your foot in the door with pen testing. I've met a couple actual pen testers that they came through the SOC, and that's where they landed. They went out and started their own business doing pen testing after that, because that's what they enjoyed the most. So there's not really a set way to get into it other than develop those skills as you go. And you can do all the hack the box stuff and that kind of stuff, but when you get down into pen testing, you're going to have the actual performance of the pen test. You've got to have the people skills to be able to talk to the organizations. You got to be willing to write the reports, which I know from listening to Black Hills and some of the other companies, those reports are 170, 200 pages, and they're doing one of those a week. It's a lot. But yeah, I mean, the SOC is the gateway. And SOC or GRC. I mean, GRC does have some entry level roles as well. Yeah, you'll get a role, Mal. I mean, I know you're freshly minted Security Plus, and we're coming into the new year. We should hopefully see some openings coming up and being able to get into a wild job market come the new year. Oh, don't knock on GRC there, Mal. Yeah, Margarita, the study is over. We ran through the questions tonight quick. I had only prepped about 10 because we went through maybe 14 or so the other night with Jesse, and we blew through them in like 30 minutes. It was super fast paced. I mean, everybody was rocking and rolling. We've been jaw jacking for the past 30 minutes. Yeah, the job market is definitely crazy out there right now. It's very quiet. I mean, there's some roles getting posted. I've been getting some notifications on stuff that's been hitting, but I wouldn't expect to get into a role until the new year. Even if you start interviewing now, you're probably not going to start till January. Just given you got holidays this week in the U.S., you've got Christmas, New Year's, everything else coming up. A lot of companies I know where I work, they do freezes. So the last 2 weeks of the month and the first week of the new year, there's no changes going on. You're not hiring, you're not doing anything. The network is locked down. You're not making any changes unless they're emergency changes. It's business as usual for those 3 weeks, and nobody is in the office. So, I mean, it moves at a snail's pace as we get into Q4 and towards the end of Q4. All right, well, it is 8:06. I'm going to go ahead and call it for the evening. I will see y'all over in the Discord and probably be up to no good, throwing in some gifts and memes and other stuff. Maybe a little bit of knowledge dropped in here and there. But y'all have a wonderful evening. Thank you for coming out. Appreciate all of you. And we will do this again Wednesday with Jesse. So see y'all here in a couple days. Y'all have a great evening. Take care.